Tsutomu Yamaguchi is a name most people have never heard, yet his story is one of the most extraordinary in human history. He is the only person officially recognized to have survived both atomic bombings in Japan. He was born in 1916 in Nagasaki, a quiet city with winding streets, bustling markets, and the distant hum of shipyards. Children ran through the streets laughing. Vendors shouted their wares. Families moved about their days. It was peaceful, ordinary. Yamaguchi grew up like any other child, curious, determined, aware of the world changing around him. He loved exploring the city, climbing trees, running through alleys, imagining far-off places. He collected small treasures, coins, pieces of metal, scraps of paper. He had dreams, simple dreams, of stability, work, family, and a future full of hope. His parents worked hard. His father at a factory, his mother tending the household. They provided love, structure, and the lessons of responsibility. Yamaguchi learned early the value of perseverance and the weight of human fragility. He had a close circle of friends. They shared secrets, games, adventures, mischief. They learned together, stumbled together, laughed together. Every scraped knee, every whispered plan, every act of daring shaped him. He learned loyalty, courage, and the small, precious joys of ordinary life. School was strict but formative. Teachers demanded discipline. Students competed quietly. Friendships formed in hidden corners. Yamaguchi studied diligently, often dreaming of far-off lands. He admired science, machinery, the power of invention. These interests would guide him later, toward his work as an engineer. By adulthood, he became an engineer at Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, a man of precision, methodical, a man of routine. He married, he raised a family. He carried on with life, unaware that history was about to catch up with him. The war raged across the Pacific. Life in Japan was difficult. Food was scarce. Cities strained under military pressure. People whispered rumors, shared fears, tried to survive. Yet Yamaguchi continued his work, dreaming quietly of a day when the world would be at peace. He was focused, diligent, a man who believed in order in a chaotic world. He often thought about ordinary pleasures, the taste of sweet rice, the smell of his mother's cooking, the laughter of children in the streets. These simple joys became memories he would later cling to. On August 6, 1945, he traveled to Hiroshima on a business trip. The city was waking up. People walked to work. Children ran through the streets. Vendors shouted. Life went on, as it always had. At 8:15 a.m., the sky exploded. A blinding light, brighter than the sun. A deafening roar followed. Buildings collapsed. Windows shattered. Fires spread instantly. People screamed. The ground shook beneath him. The heat burned his skin. Everything familiar vanished in an instant. Yamaguchi was thrown to the ground. Smoke and fire filled the air. Bodies lay motionless. Chaos reigned. Screams pierced the sky. Yet somehow, he survived. He stumbled through the streets, dazed. He saw ruins where buildings had stood. He saw people running, crying, burning. He was injured, shocked, but alive. Every step was a struggle. Every sight reminded him of death. He wondered why he was spared. Why him? Why now? These questions haunted him, following every step, every moment. He had to get home. He had to return to Nagasaki. The journey was grueling. He walked through devastation, avoided rubble, fire, debris. Every sound reminded him of chaos. Every shadow made him flinch. Yet he kept moving, driven by sheer will. Along the way, he saw other survivors. People burned, wounded, lost, wandering aimlessly. Some cried, some whispered prayers, some sat in silence. He offered what help he could: water, a hand to hold, a word of comfort. But his own exhaustion weighed heavily. He questioned why he alone survived. He remembered the faces of those who had perished, their silent eyes, frozen in horror, the twisted remains of buildings, of lives. The city smelled of smoke, ash, and burning flesh. It clung to his clothes, to his hair, to his skin, and he could not escape it. Not in thought, not in memory. 3 days later, he arrived in Nagasaki. He thought the worst was behind him. He thought he had escaped death. Twice. But fate had not finished with him. On the morning of August 9th, the sky erupted again. The second bomb, Fat Man, fell. Once more, fire and destruction rained down. Buildings collapsed instantly. Fires spread uncontrollably. The screams were deafening. People ran blindly. Tens of thousands perished. Yamaguchi was thrown to the ground again. Rubble fell around him. Flames licked the air. Smoke and dust filled his lungs. And yet, he survived. His home, his neighborhood, his friends. Many were gone. The cities that had been vibrant were now silent. Smoking ruins stretched for miles. He carried burns, injuries, and the weight of what he had witnessed. He wandered the streets, searching for family, for colleagues, for anything familiar. All he found were fragments, destroyed homes, scorched streets, abandoned belongings. The air was thick with despair. Yet he moved, compelled by necessity. He offered what comfort he could, lifted injured people, gave water, spoke soft words, even as his own body screamed from burns, shock, fatigue. He returned to Mitsubishi, tried to rebuild life, married, raised his family, endured quietly, but the memories never left him. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were etched into his mind. The screams, the heat, the smoke, the endless destruction, never gone, never forgotten. He often reflected on the randomness of survival. He survived Hiroshima and Nagasaki, not by skill, not by planning, but by chance, by fate. He rarely spoke publicly. When he did, it was calm, precise, deliberate. He described the heat, the blinding light, the shock waves, the human suffering. He remembered faces burned into memory, children holding hands, families running, people who had moments before been alive, now gone in an instant. He carried these images with him for decades. He lived to see Japan recover and rebuild. He became an advocate for peace, for nuclear disarmament. He shared his story, urging humanity to remember the consequences of such weapons. He did not see himself as a hero, only as a survivor. He carried the responsibility of memory, a weight he bore quietly. He often thought about ordinary life, the simple pleasures of a market, the laughter of children, the smell of home cooking, all things that vanished in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yet he remembered them as if they were yesterday. He reflected on humanity, on how fragile life can be, how easily normal days can vanish, how quickly chaos can strike, and yet how resilient the human spirit can be. He remembered the sounds, the heat, the silence that followed, the fear, the confusion, the moments of decision. Every act of survival felt monumental. Every small step forward victory. He remembered people helping each other, strangers holding hands, nurses tending the wounded. He remembered the smells: smoke, ash, burned wood, cooked food. He remembered the sky, the sun, the clouds, all transformed by fire and destruction. He lived decades beyond those days, yet the images remained vivid, relentless, haunting. He spoke softly of them, calmly, deliberately, urging humanity to never forget, to learn, to avoid repeating history. He watched Japan rebuild, cities rising from ashes, people striving for normalcy. Yet he knew the scars ran deeper than bricks and mortar. The memory of screams, the blinding light, the chaos, these were etched into the very soul of those who survived. And into his own, he became a quiet advocate, a voice for peace, for nuclear disarmament, for humanity to remember the cost of such weapons. He spoke at gatherings, in interviews, through written accounts, always calm, measured, precise, never seeking fame, only awareness. He reflected on fate, on the randomness that had spared him, on the millions who were gone, whose lives ended in an instant. He often wondered why. Why he? Why now? These questions lingered, unanswerable, yet they shaped him. They gave purpose to his survival, to bear witness, to honor those who could not speak. He thought about ordinary life, the simple pleasures, the laughter of children, the smell of cooking, the rhythm of daily work, all things that vanished in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yet he remembered them as if they were yesterday. He treasured memory as a shield against despair, as a guide for living, and he sought to teach others the value of peace through recollection. He recalled the moments of humanity amid horror, neighbors helping neighbors, strangers offering comfort, hands reaching through rubble, the bravery of nurses, the quiet heroism of ordinary citizens. These images stayed with him, reminders that even in the darkest times, light persists. He grew older, the weight of memory ever present. Yet he lived fully, celebrating family, friendships, the continuity of life. He never forgot, and he never allowed others to forget. His life became a bridge between the unimaginable past and a hopeful future. Tsutomu Yamaguchi passed away in 2010. He had survived the impossible. Twice. His life is a testament to human resilience, a reminder of history, a warning for the future. Through his story, we learn about fate, survival, and the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit. His life forces us to remember, to never forget the cost of destruction, the fragility of life, the fleetingness of ordinary moments, and the extraordinary courage required to continue, even after witnessing unimaginable devastation. He endured what no one should, and lived to tell the tale. We remember him, not as a hero in the traditional sense, but as a witness, a survivor, a messenger of the past. His legacy is not just in survival, but in the lessons he left behind, a reminder to cherish life, to strive for peace, and to honor those who did not live to see another day. Through the eyes of Tsutomu Yamaguchi, we see both the horror of war and the enduring spirit of humanity. We see ordinary life, shattered, yet somehow continuing. We see the cost of destruction and the imperative of remembrance. His story is a bridge, from tragedy to understanding, from loss to reflection, from survival to meaning. And in the end, his life teaches us that even when the world seems to crumble, even when chaos and destruction reign, the human spirit, fragile yet resilient, can endure, and through memory, advocacy, and reflection, we can honor the past, learn from it, and strive to make the future better. Tsutomu Yamaguchi lived to witness peace, to speak for those silenced by the bombs, to show the world that survival is not merely physical, but also moral, emotional, spiritual, and in telling his story, he gave humanity a chance to remember and perhaps to do better.